In our counting to calculus journey, we are going to pause and talk about Marie Curie. Marie Curie was a popular physicist slash chemist, if you want to put it that way. She won the Nobel Prize for both physics and chemistry. Very few people have ever done that. Actually, she's the only one who's done that. Her husband, Pierre, was also awarded the Nobel Prize, and then her daughter got the Nobel Prize as well. We talk about the Curies, but we forget sometimes the hardships they faced. Not only did she die from her contact with the radioactive substance she was isolating, radium and so on, but there was times where they were tired. The book says sometimes the Curies reeled from fatigue, working to complete a difficult task long after their brains and their bodies were desperate for sleep. Strange aches and pains flowed through them, exhausting and worrying because they seemed to have no cause. Marie's fingers were cracked and sore, and the cold in winter froze them to the bone. If there's one thing we should live with in the days that we live in today, we need to live with gratitude. There needs to be gratitude. I mean, the fact that you have air conditioning and then you have heaters, you need to be grateful. I mean, these guys were working under some very difficult situations. But Marie and Pierre dedicated their lives to understanding radioactivity. In this scale in history, let's go back to the 1800s. So in the 1800s, Michael Faraday had done his work with electricity and magnetism, partly involved or connected to the work of people like Voltaire, people like Ampere. So we have Ampere, we have Voltaire. Notice that the unit of volts and amps comes from those names, right? And then in the 1800s, we get to about 1840, 1850. We get the work of, we get James Clerk Maxwell now, who's coming to the scene. He's 19 years old now in 1850. He starts doing some work, and he does work in showing that light is electromagnetic radiation. Basically, light has a spectrum of different things that we can find, including gamma rays and so on and so forth, right? When you look at the spectrum of light, the electromagnetic radiation spectrum. And so Maxwell does his work, and Heinrich Hertz, the unit of frequency is Hertz. Hertz does his work in showing us the work with frequency and so on. So we call the unit of frequency Hertz. So around the 1870s now, Germany is a powerhouse when it comes to science. They just won the Franco-Prussian War against France. France is still very good at science, right? France gives us there's a heritage of mathematicians from France you might know of. And so we talk about Blaise Pascal, for example. He came in the 1600s, and people like René Descartes. But now in the 1800s, France is still a powerhouse. Marie Curie is from Poland. She makes her way to France, and she's working in France. In 1895, we find out what X-rays are by the German scientist Wilhelm Röntgen. Wilhelm Röntgen gave us the work with X-rays in 1895. We figure out radioactivity afterwards in 1896. We discover electrons, J.J. Thomson at the Cavendish Laboratory, which Maxwell started in 1897. So there's a lot of stuff happening in the 1890s. There's another scientist who's about to become popular in 1905, is going to become very popular, but this is Albert Einstein, right? This is the era of Einstein and Planck and Helmholtz and Boltzmann. This was a very interesting time in history. And Marie and Pierre dedicated their lives to discovering more about radioactivity and these substances that they were trying to explore and divide. And they found out about radium, and we've named, she discovered several elements. And so she does this work. We go into the 1900s. We don't know the effects of radioactivity. We start finding out. Unfortunately, part of that led to her death, right? Because it causes cancer, it causes disease if you're exposed to it for a long period of time. I work in medical physics, which deals with X-rays, and I work with gamma rays as well in nuclear medicine. And so part of my work it works well today because of the research that has happened in health physics through the years, right? We're going to talk more about this in our Counting to Calculus tour. But basically, Counting to Calculus is more than just mathematics. It's science as well, because math and science are connected. We can calculate certain things about radioactivity using mathematics, right? So math and science, they were very close. Physics and math and chemistry, they used to hang out a lot together. And now we've kind of tried to split them off into different branches, partly because we've discovered so much in each one of the fields. But we should still have a desire to see them all united again. Math, chemistry, and physics. So that's a little bit of history there. Marie Curie and Pierre came at a time in history where there was a lot of development happening with radioactivity and light and research with light and quantum mechanics and relativity. This is all around 1900. We'll be talking more about the history of math and science. We've dedicated some time now in this video in looking at the 18 and 1900s briefly, only the early 1900s. But stay tuned for more videos. We're going back to the beginning, by the way. We're gonna dissect ancient history, math and science, and then the Middle Ages and the Roman period, the Greeks, and then we're going to get to the modern times, which is where I love dissecting the history of math and science, starting around 1450. So stay tuned for more, subscribe for more. Take care and have a blessed day. That's your daily dose of math and science history. Have a blessed day.